You think you'll know when you're rich. You won't. There's no alarm, no text, no moment where the sky opens up and confetti falls. Getting rich doesn't feel like winning. It feels like nothing, right up until you look back and realize everything changed while you weren't watching. Most people are waiting for a feeling that's never going to come. And because it never comes, they assume they're still broke, still behind, still stuck. But here's what nobody tells you. Rich doesn't feel like anything. It feels like a bill you didn't flinch at, a request you didn't panic over, a future you stopped being afraid to look at. If you're checking your bank account right now expecting to feel something, stop. That's not how this works. Here are 6 signs you're already getting rich, even if it doesn't feel like it yet. Sign 1. You stop flinching when a bill shows up. Watch how people react to an envelope. Really watch. Because before anyone reads a single word inside, their body already knows how to feel about it. Shoulders tighten, breath shortens. There's a half-second bracing, like watching a doctor pick up an X-ray before saying anything at all. That reaction has nothing to do with the number. It happens before the number. Now ask yourself something most people never ask. When's the last time a bill actually surprised you? Not annoyed you, not mildly irritated you, surprised you, as in changed your plans, made you move money you didn't want to move, made you do math on your phone in a parking lot. If you can't remember the last time that happened, you already know something the version of you from 3 years ago didn't. Your coworker still lives in that flinch. Insurance went up $40 last month, and he spent the entire weekend rearranging numbers that had nowhere left to go. $40. He didn't tell you that directly. You just noticed he got quiet when it came up, the way people get quiet about things that actually scare them. You didn't get quiet. You barely registered it. Here's the question nobody asks in these videos. Is calm actually a financial asset? Because it doesn't show up on a bank statement. Nobody puts reduced my flinch response on a net worth spreadsheet. But think about what that calm is actually built from. It's not luck. It's not a bigger paycheck landing out of nowhere. It's margin, space, a gap between what comes in and what goes out that finally got wide enough to absorb a hit without shaking. You didn't notice the gap forming. Nobody does. It forms in the background while you're doing something completely unrelated, making coffee, half listening to a podcast, not thinking about money at all. And then one day, an envelope shows up, and your body just doesn't do the thing it used to do.
That's nothing. That absence is the entire signal. Right now, over 60% of people are one unexpected bill away from real financial stress. Which means if the bill just becomes information instead of an emergency, you have already crossed the line most people spend their whole lives standing in front of, waiting to cross. So here's the real question, the one worth sitting with for a second. When a bill stops being an event, what does it become instead? It becomes proof. Quiet, boring, undramatic proof that something underneath you has already shifted, long before the number in your account ever catches up to how calm you've become. Sign 2. You think in years, not paychecks. Here's a question most people never ask themselves. When you spend money, whose timeline are you actually operating on? Because 2 timelines are running underneath every purchase, and most people only ever see one of them. There's the 2-week timeline, the one that says, I have money right now, so this makes sense right now. And there's the 5-year timeline, the quiet one, running in the background, that nobody consults before swiping a card. Watch someone get a bonus. Watch what happens in the first 72 hours. That's the tell. Your coworker Marcus got a bonus last spring. Good money, not life-changing, but real. Within the week, it was gone. Not on anything reckless, a nice dinner, a jacket he'd been eyeing, a subscription he still pays for and barely uses. None of it was a mistake in isolation, but strung together, it was a pattern. Spend inside the 2-week window, every time, without exception. You used to be Marcus. Almost everyone starts there. Something shifts though, and it's rarely dramatic. It's a single moment where instead of asking, can I afford this, a different question quietly slides in front of it. What does this actually cost me in 5 years? That question changes everything because it exposes a cost most people never calculate. A vacation charged to a credit card doesn't just cost the vacation, it costs the interest that compounds against you. It costs the contribution that didn't get made that month. It costs the version of that same $2,000 sitting in an index fund for 5 years instead of a statement balance. Once you see money in that shape, you can't unsee it. It's like learning a word and suddenly hearing it everywhere. Here's the uncomfortable question worth asking yourself right now. If every dollar you spent this month had a 5-year echo attached to it, would you still have spent it the same way? Most people won't like sitting with that question. That's exactly why it matters. This isn't about deprivation. You still take the vacation. You still get the jacket. The difference is invisible to everyone except you. You take the vacation with money set aside 3 months earlier instead of money borrowed from a future you haven't earned yet.
Nobody claps for this. There's no moment where thinking in years instead of paychecks gets recognized. It just quietly rearranges the entire shape of your financial life, one decision at a time, until one day, the gap between you and someone who's still living paycheck to paycheck isn't income. It's time horizon. Same paycheck, completely different math. And the only thing that changed is which timeline you decided to answer to. Sign 3. Your friends ask you for advice they don't take. Here's something nobody warns you about. At some point, without applying for the job, you become the person your friend group calls before a money decision. It doesn't happen with an announcement. It happens quietly, one conversation at a time, until you look up and realize you've become the unofficial financial advisor of your entire group chat, unpaid, unlicensed, and somehow always right on time. Your friend Alicia texted you last month, bonus money, trying to decide, pay down the car early or invest it. You walked her through both paths, no lecture, no judgment, just the math laid out plain. She thanked you. Then she used the money for a kitchen renovation she'd wanted for 2 years and told herself she'd figure out the rest later. Here's the question worth sitting with. Why do people ask for advice they have no intention of following? It's not because they're careless. It's because asking feels like doing something, even when it isn't. The question itself provides relief, a temporary illusion of control, and once that relief arrives, the actual decision often quietly dissolves. You didn't feel superior watching that happen. You felt something stranger. You noticed you weren't nervous once during the entire conversation. You knew the answer before she finished the question. No Googling, no second guessing, no let me think about it and get back to you. That ease is the actual signal, not the advice giving, the absence of hesitation underneath it. Here's a question almost nobody asks themselves honestly. If a friend called you right now with a financial decision, would you trust your own answer, or would you be quietly hoping they'd Google it instead? If your answer came instantly, without doubt, that's not confidence. That's evidence. Quiet, unglamorous, undeniable evidence that something underneath your relationship with money has already stabilized, long before any number confirms it. And speaking of noticing things before they're obvious, if this is the kind of pattern you want pointed out to you before everyone else catches on, that's exactly what this channel does every week. Hit subscribe, tap that like button, because the next video breaks down the sign almost nobody talks about, the one that has nothing to do with your bank account and everything to do with how you handle a $300 request from a friend. Because here's the truth about advice nobody asked for but everyone secretly needs. The moment you stop needing to check your own math is the moment you realize you've already left the group you used to belong to. Not because you got lucky, because somewhere along the way, without a single dramatic moment, you became the person other people quietly measure themselves against, even when they have no plans to change. Sign 4. You've started saying "we'll see" instead of "no." Here's a question worth asking yourself honestly. What's your default answer to an unplanned request? Not the one you say out loud, the one that fires off in your head half a second before your mouth even moves. For most people, that instant reflex is no. Not because they don't want to say yes, because the fear arrives faster than the math does. A friend asks for $300 toward a trip or help covering a shared gift, and the rejection is already halfway out before a single number gets calculated. You know this reflex. You lived inside it for years. Something changes though, and it's subtle enough that you almost don't notice it happening to you. Your friend Tasha mentioned a spontaneous weekend at the coast last month. Old you would have said, "I can't," before she even finished the sentence. New you said something different. "Let me check my calendar." That wasn't really about the calendar. That was about the number no longer being scary enough to trigger an automatic no. Here's the uncomfortable question underneath all of this. Is no actually a financial decision, or is it just fear wearing a financial costume? Because for most people, "I can't afford it" isn't math. It's dread arriving early and disguising itself as certainty.
And once you have real room underneath you, that dread has nothing left to attach itself to. The answer stops being instant. It becomes considered. Sometimes it's still no, but now it's a no you chose, not a no that chose you.
You checked. You thought about it for 2 days. You said yes. Not because you're suddenly rich, because you finally have room to actually think instead of react. Here's a stat worth sitting with. Nearly 40% of people say they'd have to borrow money or sell something just to cover a $400 emergency, which means for most of the country, we'll see isn't even an option. There's nothing underneath the request to consider. It's an automatic no every time because there's no room for anything else. If your default has quietly shifted from instant refusal to considered response, ask yourself this: when did you stop being afraid of your own bank account? Because that fear leaving, quietly without an exit interview, might be the single clearest proof there is that something underneath you already changed shape long before the number on the screen agrees with how steady you already feel. Sign 5. You've noticed you're bored by other people's spending. Here's a question most people are too uncomfortable to ask themselves. When's the last time someone else's new car actually made you feel something? Not judgment, not envy dressed up as concern, just a reaction, a ping, a small, private, should I be doing that too? If you genuinely can't remember, sit with that for a second, because a few years ago, you probably could. Your cousin financed a new car last month, 72 months, posted everywhere, tagged the dealership twice. Old you would have felt something watching that scroll by, a flicker of comparison. New you felt exactly nothing. Not smugness, just flat, uninterested calm. The same reaction you'd have to weather in a city you don't live in. That's not coldness, that's a signal. Here's the uncomfortable truth underneath this sign. Most people's financial decisions are made against a scoreboard they don't even admit exists. New phones, remodeled kitchens, tagged vacations. It's a silent leaderboard, and almost everyone is quietly checking their rank against it, even while insisting they don't care about keeping up with anyone. You used to check that leaderboard too. Everyone starts there. Your friend Deshaun still checks it constantly. He clocks every new purchase in the friend group, and it costs him something real. A low simmer he never names but clearly carries, showing up as a slightly too quick comment, a slightly forced laugh. The moment that leaderboard stopped mattering to you, nothing announced it. You just noticed one ordinary day that a friend's kitchen remodel didn't tighten your chest the way it used to, and realized, almost in passing, that the tightness had already been gone for months. You just hadn't clocked its absence until right then. Here's the real question worth asking yourself. If nobody around you spent another dollar on anything for the rest of the year, would your own spending change at all? If the honest answer is no, that's not deprivation. That's evidence your sense of enough has already stabilized, independent of everyone else's decisions. And a stabilized sense of enough is one of the strongest predictors there is that the number underneath it is already, quietly, growing. Not because you stopped wanting things, because you stopped needing other people's spending to tell you whether you were doing fine. Sign 6. You can picture your future without flinching. Here's a question worth asking yourself right now, honestly, no performing for anyone. Where are you in 10 years? Not the fantasy version, not the highlight reel, the actual, honest answer. The one that shows up when nobody's watching you answer it. For a lot of people, that question triggers something close to dread. A fog rolls in. Retirement feels like a word other people use. A paid-off house feels like a decision someone else's parents made. So the question gets avoided entirely, because looking too closely at an unlit noom is scarier than just keeping the door shut. You lived in that fog too, at some point. Almost everyone does. Something changes though, not because every detail gets solved, but because the fear underneath the question quietly loses its grip. You still don't have the whole picture, but there's a shape now, a rough outline of numbers that makes sense, contributions running in the background whether you think about them or not. You can walk into that dark room now and realize someone, an earlier version of you, already installed the light switch. Here's the uncomfortable question underneath this one. Is avoiding the future actually a form of financial denial nobody talks about? Because avoidance feels like nothing. It doesn't feel like a decision. But every year you don't look is a year compounding worked without you, or a year it didn't start at all. And silence isn't neutral. Silence has a cost. It just doesn't send you a bill for it. Your friend Omar, same age as you, still changes the subject the second retirement comes up, laughs it off, says he'll figure it out eventually. You understand that laugh.
You used to do it yourself. The difference now isn't that you have every answer. It's that the questions stopped being something you flinch away from. Roughly half of people have no retirement savings at all. If you can picture your future, even loosely, without your stomach tightening, you've already separated yourself from that number in a way that matters more than any single balance sitting in your account today. So here's the real question to leave you with. If you had to describe your financial future in one honest sentence right now, would it sound like fear or would it sound like a plan? If it's starting to sound like a plan, even a rough one, that's the whole point of this video. You don't feel rich yet. Most people never feel it exactly when it's happening. But if 2, 3, 4 of these signs are already true for you, you're not waiting to get there. You're already on your way, and you're going to want to see it play out. That's exactly what next week's video breaks down. The one sign that predicts all 6 of these before any of them show up in your bank account. So hit subscribe, turn on notifications, and drop a comment telling me which of these 6 hit closest to home. I read every one, and the next video is already lined up for the people who show up for this one. I'll see you in the next one.